Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up, horses cold bird. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up, horses cold bird. Just let me be blunt. My speech in the morning, nothing but grunts. With no coffee, that's as dangerous. On a scale from 1 to 10, I rank it that girl from Stranger Things. And if you get what I'm saying, my attitude be mad flagrant like I'm Draymond. But you ain't get the picture, BFP. So I'm gonna keep pushing on you, GNC. It's like, yeah, the first thing on my mind is when that hot coffee gonna seep into the coffee grind. It's like some magic's floating all in the air. Toss some ice cubes in my cup, it's a good day. All I gotta say is that it's starting in a good way. It's time for working and I don't even care. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold bird. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold bird. We start fresh, that's how it's gotta be. Everything starts back with your coffee bean. If it's cold brew, then it's gotta be coarse. Don't get the cart ahead of the horse, start learning the course. But of course you can disregard, and don't at me if it gets too hard. When it's my time to drink, man, it's always on hand. Drink from a cup or a bottle, even a can. You never know when you're craving a hit. It could be in the bathroom while you're taking a Ric Flair, I'll say he ain't got nothing on it. When that coffee hits my lips, it's a seance. Feeling real super with the cape on. Anything I'll take on. This cup of coffee, yeah boy, this is the shit. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold bird. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold bird. Third verse, so I guess that's where I talk about how we might be addicted in a roundabout kind of way, or how you say, a dependency that's in my life, and I'm proud to say it's filling me with way more energy than I'll ever need, keeping me up for things I thought I'd never see. Time's gonna kill us all one day, whether old age, illness, or from listening to Coldplay. F that noise, bubble love, love, drink all the coffee.
Good morning, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world, and welcome to the morning stream here on the Den of Nerds Live. The very best way to start your nerdy day on today's show. It's a DC Tuesday. We're going to be talking about some DC stuff. A couple of videos came out yesterday. We did a DC community stream last night. There's so much DC, I can't even stand it. We're a DC channel now. But in all seriousness, it's a DC Tuesday, so we're going to get into some of that. Folks, really crazy stuff going on yesterday with the big scoop from Jeremy Conrad, how other people have responded to that. There's a lot of people saying that that scoop is not true. We're going to break that down. We're going to talk about that. Plus, I got a really good question on Twitter asking about why I keep talking about a crisis event when it comes to DC, because they've already done that on the CW show and whatnot. So we're going to get into that as well. Might go into the theater, look at some memes, just have some fun. It's a Tuesday, baby. Trinity already told me he's not streaming, so we can stream for like 6 hours today, and we're all good. But before we get into any of the content, let's say good morning to everybody. Mr. Deeds in the building, Russell's here, David Nations, David Fuller, Steve Denton, Gray's here, Marvel Maniac, Trinity's here, Josh is here, Yinzer Jim, Cade Steffens, Mike Porter, Livingston, Jim Black, Sly's in the building, Keith's here, Coachella Coastal, Dave Marvel's here, Jennifer Cook, Bill M's in the building, Jacob's Quest is here, Wayne White, John Wick. If I missed your name, I apologize. Jareth Loveberry's here, Will Morgan, CGM Show, Indra's here, Cameron Miles. Bunch of beautiful people. All right, real quick, though, before we get into any of the news, hang on. Chet, pause the music. Pause the music. Pause the music. Give me a second. Give me a second to get in the proper mood for this. Yesterday, I made an error in judgment. Yesterday, I let the YouTube community down. Yesterday, I got yelled at by all of my producers. Yesterday, I was forced to make this apology. Yesterday, I disrespected my subscribers. I disrespected the fans. I disrespected respect. I did respect. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset everybody when I talk about everything always and about it's the craziest news of the day. Oh, this news is crazy. Craziest news of the day, folks. We talked about this yesterday. Crazy stuff. Okay, so this scoop here made some big waves. Big waves. Big waves, ladies and gentlemen. Let's read right from this report a little bit, and then I want to talk about some of the different things that happened after this report was initially broke, okay? So here we go. We're over on DCEU Mythic.cam. And I'm going to read right from the article. Here we go. While fans are excited to see Zack Snyder's Justice League sometime in 2021 on HBO Max, Warner is looking forward to the future of the iconic team, and it appears they have huge plans to bring the Super Friends back to the big screen. I've learned today that Warner Brothers has begun development on a Justice League Rebirth film, which is separate from the Snyder Cut and not a continuation of that Justice League story. This movie is live action and not animated. It's all very early, but it wouldn't be surprising at all if they were to approach someone like J.J. Abrams to direct, due to his overall deal with Warner Brothers and his stature, the Bad Robot involvement in other DC projects, and they might even be interested in someone like Christina Hudson to write it. She's the Birds of Prey writer, blah, 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 blah. There have been a lot of previous rumors that Warner Brothers would want J.J. Abrams to take a crack at Superman, and a Justice League movie is right up his big-budget blockbuster alley. Whoa. Weird way to phrase that. After conquering Star Trek and Star Wars. Oh, man. Okay, I gotta stop writing. I gotta stop. Take me back into the... take me back into the chatting, please. Take me back into the chatting. Thank you. So, here's the deal. Jeremy broke that scoop yesterday. Now, many DC insiders, different people from reports and things like that, they had different opinions about this. And Jesus. Okay, hang on. Sorry, guys. Hello. Oh, hey. Executive producer Godfather. What's going on? What do you mean? What do you mean that wasn't good enough? Well, it was... I know that. No, I know it was weird. It was Tara. I know. Tara wanted me to apologize. I know it's weird. No, I get it. Okay. All right. See. So, I hope you guys all know. I hope you guys all realize that I am really and truly sorry. How do I say this in a way that'll sound like I'm actually mean it? I am so sorry about yesterday. I crossed the line. That type of content isn't really what people come here for. So we're not going to do that anymore. And I apologize sincerely about that. Let's hope I don't get any more fucking calls. You know what I mean? Okay, look. This came out. And man, it's been really weird to see how people respond to this. Let me give you a couple examples. Number one, there are a whole bunch of people that are Snyder Cut fans. Okay, the Snyder Cut bros, the least toxic, most loving, non-abrasive community I've ever seen online, right? Just literally all like Buddha-like, Jesus Christ-like people, just it's crazy, you know what I mean? Very respectful, all that, right? So that group of people, they immediately attacked the scoop that Jeremy Conrad had yesterday. And one of the ways, or I think one of the motivations behind it, was trying to say that because Jeremy Conrad was wrong about the Snyder Cut, that he can never be right about anything ever again. You know what I mean? So I saw that attitude sort of espoused. That was really weird. I was like, okay, but I would say 80% of insiders, 80% of people that do reports and things like that were wrong about the Snyder Cut. The truth is, the whole Snyder Cut situation was wild. It was very surprising. So that was stupid. I saw some other things happen, though, that were a little bit more reputable. It's kind of crazy, man. Like, first of all, Humberto Gonzalez, and if you're watching this, what's up, Humberto? Humberto replied to the video I did yesterday, and the only thing he said was, nope. I hit him up to try to clarify, but no clarification was given. There were also some reports that David Ayers came out and debunked that scoop. I don't think that's true. I mean, if anything, he actually posted like fire emojis on that scoop, which in general was kind of weird. But then there was a guy, let me see if I can find it for you guys. There was a dude who apparently has some connections to DC. And this dude basically came out and said that this is like, there's no way that this is true, and was essentially, here's what he was saying. Man, I can't really find it here, but essentially what the guy said was, to say that Warner Brothers is going to make a Justice League movie again in the future is like a non-story, and it's a really safe thing that scoopers and rumor peddlers can say, where they can basically say like, hey, they're going to make another Justice League. It's in really early stages of development, and all of the sort of the ways you can dodge criticism for that sort of stuff is by saying, hey, things change. Things develop over time and things change, right? And so this guy like went in, dude. Like, it was like huge Twitter thread. Like, it was one of the first things I read this morning when I woke up, and it was like nauseating, not because of necessarily the context, but because like this dude just keeps going and going and going. And the truth is, guys, from my perspective, all these people are getting this wrong. I think that the scoop about Justice League Rebirth is a legitimate scoop. And a big reason why, well, it's just timing. Really, it has to do with timing. If you think about it, what have we heard from Warner Brothers over the past couple of years, especially in the wake of like the Joss Whedon Justice League? What we've been hearing is that this studio wants to focus on the individuals, right? That there's no other crossovers, there's no other big movies like that. They're not going to do that anymore, and they're going to focus on the individual stories, okay? To have Warner Brothers be developing a Justice League Rebirth movie right now, even in the early stages, which of course it's in the early stages, but that is news. That is significant. That shows that they have changed their mind, that they are doing things a little bit differently. And if you really think about it, you take a look, obviously things have changed. The Snyder Cut is now actually being funded And they're spending way more than $30 million on that thing. They're probably going to spend $150 million on it when all is said and done. So obviously that's changed. Okay. Obviously all this stuff going on with Keaton, all these rumors, all this crazy stuff. The reason this is leaking is because it feels like DC and Warner Brothers behind the scenes are like rapid fire trying to like touch, get all this stuff figured out, and it's leaking all over the place. Now, I'm not saying we have a totally accurate depiction of what is going on with DC and Warner Brothers. However, the idea, like these ideas just frustrate me. Like the idea that the Snyder bros come in and be like, this guy can never know anything again is just stupid. It's just stupid. Dude, 80 to 90% of insiders out there did not think that the Snyder Cut was going to happen. Okay? So you can't hold that over people's heads. Like, at all. Secondly, the idea that like scoopers and rumor peddlers, or whatever you want to call them, I guess like independent media or whatever, the idea that independent media does nothing but just peddle rumors is insane. It's insane. Like, obviously, if you just look at the reports that have come out from independent media and how it lines up, there's definitely people out there that know what the F they're talking about. And so, I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of interested in what you guys think about this. Have you seen any of this stuff with regards to the Justice League scoop from yesterday? I'm really interested in what you guys think about this. It's crazy. June says, I'm starting to realize that most DC scoops is just he say, she say with no official reports. Let's cancel the whole Justice League and get our Man of Steel 2 film with Henry. Oh man. Wow. I tell you what, I feel like things are going to be very interesting today. I'd like to do a lot of Q&A about this. I heard from my source, Keaton's Batman will lead Justice League Rebirth. Damn, guys, you heard it here. Pretty crazy. Or it could be what the animation side is doing. Interesting. Yeah, so I gotta be honest, I don't know what to think exactly about the Justice League Rebirth scoop. There's been enough like pushback on it that I'm like, But I think it makes sense. How much studio involvement will there be in the Snyder Cut? It's hard to say, man. It's really hard to say how much. I mean, I think, frankly, the only studio interference there will likely be to put things into that cut that will be Easter eggs for future projects or tie-ins to future projects or stuff like that, right? So that's what I think. But anyway, I want to now talk, and we'll get into Q&A, guys. Don't worry. But I want to get into Q&A. I want to get into Q&A because we had a great question come in on Twitter, and I think that this question really does indicate a lot of confusion from the fans. But before we do, a couple of things. Show notes. Didn't get to do this at the beginning of the show. Probably should have. Number one, Nerd Vengers members. What is up? You people are absolutely amazing. We have ended our Patreon as a big way to support the channel. Instead, we are highly focusing on channel membership. So all of the Nerd Vengers, little badges that people get, that is what you get when you join the Nerd Vengers. We also do exclusive behind-the-scenes streams every Saturday. This Saturday at noon, we are picking what emojis we want to be for the Nerd Vengers and the Nerd Venger Prime members. So make sure you're there on Saturday. If you are a Nerd Venger member, come by the stream this Saturday at noon. It's going to be a big stream. That's going to be awesome. Also, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Nerd Card Showdown. The next round, it's the Real Spiel versus the Chet Boys for life. Should be a very, very good match. So just wanted to let you guys know about this. Now, let's get to this question here. This question comes from Edwin Jacino. He says, question, why does at the Den of Nerds continue to talk about Warner Brothers creating a multiverse for their live action properties and a Crisis on Infinite Earths event when this already happened in the Arrowverse, the cameo by Ezra Miller's Flash and other Warner Brothers DC properties? Both TV and film already proves that the DCEU is part of the Arrowverse multiverse. The DC TV universe has been far greater than its film counterpart, and it would make sense if Warner Brothers and HBO Max build from that. We don't need another Crisis on Infinite Earths. Heck, DC could soft reboot the DCEU based out of the Arrowverse Crisis, tying it into Flash's Flashpoint with Crisis would a bow tie on a huge present to the DC fandom. Okay, so awesome question. Thanks for the question, Edwin. I think that's a really good question. I think that maybe I haven't been great at explaining this. So let me try to do my best to sort of break this down and explain it. And then we'll get into Q&A. We could maybe go into the I kind of wanted to like just look at some memes and stuff and just chill today, but we can get into Q&A. We can do plenty of this. So the question so the baseline question is here: why do we continue to talk about a multiverse for their live action DC properties and a Crisis on Infinite Earths when this already happened in the Arrowverse? Okay, so the Arrowverse is a separate thing than the live action stuff that happens in the theaters. Okay, now this is obvious, but it goes a little bit beyond this. I think as it stands before the Ezra Miller cameo, because this is a new thing that actually ties into the theory that I want to talk about. But before that, the CW universe was actually treated as its own multiverse. Okay? So completely separate from everything else in DC. Like in the same way that Marvel Comics is its own universe, and then the Marvel Cinematic Universe is its own universe, there's a separate universe for the CW shows than there are for, let's say, the animated shows or the live action shows. Okay? And how do we know this? Well, because even Supergirl takes place in a different Earth than the one that has Flash and Green Arrow. Okay? So when they find Supergirl, they find her in a different Earth. She's on a different Earth. Okay? Now, full disclosure, I'm not current on the CW stuff. A couple of seasons ago, they kind of lost me. Like, I've been into it, but a couple of seasons ago, they kind of lost me with the CW stuff. It's just a little played out for me. But I acknowledge that universe and its continuity is great and people love it. Okay? But if you look at the plans that they have, and this is all according to rumors and reports, right? So we don't know, there's nothing official. Hopefully at DC Fandom, we learned something official, okay? Pardon me. The idea of the multiverse is basically saying that every live action thing that ever happened with Warner Brothers, starting with the Tim Burton Batman stuff, which is, the Michael Keaton Batman, is its own universe. So the Burtonverse exists as a universe within a multiverse. That idea is going to be leaned into. It's going to be leaned into by DC, and that is different than their prior strategy. And here's the big thing that you need to focus on, Edwin. When Arrow was doing the Suicide Squad, DC made them shut that down because the Suicide Squad movie was coming out. The bigwigs at Warner Brothers thought it would be too confusing to audiences if there was a Suicide Squad that was heavily focused on television for the CW shows, and simultaneously a Suicide Squad that looked completely different for the DCEU. The idea behind that was we can't oversaturate, we can't confuse our audiences. We want brand recognition, we want to keep things clean. So therefore, there can be only one. It's like the Highlander, right? That mentality is going away. And instead, they are going to focus on the multiverse as an explanation for how there could be a Suicide Squad over here and another completely different Suicide Squad over here. Now, you bring up the Ezra Miller Flash thing. I agree with you that that is a sign of the thinking that Warner Brothers has. And what we found out just a couple of weeks ago was that that cameo was mandated by the studio. So when that first happened, nobody really knew what was going on behind it. Maybe it was just a cool little thing for them to throw in for flavor. Maybe Greg Berlanti wanted it. Maybe Ezra Miller wanted it. Maybe Grant Gustin wanted it. We didn't know. We later found out the studio themselves, Warner Brothers, mandated that. So what that means is, yes, they have changed the game. They are creating a multiverse. Now, you go on to talk about, and I believe, Edwin, I'm just kind of getting the vibe here, that you're more of a CW universe fan than you are the live action stuff. And so what you're kind of saying is you'd prefer if they spun out of the CW shows and they made a live action like movie universe based on the CW shows. What I'm telling you is they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to allow the CW shows to exist over there. They'll do their own thing and they'll be unhampered by what goes on in other live action DC things because, again, the multiverse is the explanation. Now, when I talk about a Crisis on Infinite Earths event, what I am talking about is the possibility of DC in the future taking Flash from the CW universe, maybe Arrow from the CW universe, maybe Supergirl or other characters from the CW shows, bringing them in alongside Henry Cavill's Superman, Ben Affleck Batman, and having them hang out potentially with an entirely new cast. Brandon Routh Superman, if they want to go that route. Maybe a totally different actor for Superman, if they want to go that route. Potentially even Michael B. Jordan Superman. So the crisis I'm talking about, or the big event that I'm talking about, would be an event that would tie together all the different live action iterations that they have. Because currently the crisis that happened on the CW show, they're actually only involving the CW shows. Now that's slightly changed with the most recent one because they had like Kingdom Come and they really like tried to open that up. But essentially what's going on there is that's all Greg Berlanti using the toys that he has been given to build a crisis. What I am saying and what I'm suggesting DC could do is create a crisis event that has all the toys. Val Kilmer Batman, George Clooney Batman, all the toys, all of them. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that explains it a little bit better because I totally see what you're saying and I get where you're coming from. But we're talking about something pretty drastically different. Drastically different. So again, I hope that makes sense. I hope that I hope that clears it up. Again, all theory and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Nothing confirmed. But I think that's where my head really comes from. You know what I mean? All right. So one more thing I want to kind of go over here. And then we'll get into Q&A. There's a ton of stuff we can talk about in Q&A. Let me see if I can find this. Apologies. Apologies. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Where's this at? Come on. Come on. Where you at? There were more comments made by Ray Fisher. And I found them to be pretty dang interesting. And I would like to know what you guys think. I hope this post wasn't deleted. What in God's name? Huh. Man, I'd like to reference the actual post. But essentially, Ray Fisher came out on an Instagram Live. And he didn't backtrack on what he said. But he said that he's NDA'd. That he would be sued into oblivion if he ever gave any details about the comments he made with regards to Joss Whedon. So, I guess the thing that's kind of really interesting about that is how is he able to say that there was abuse and to say all of these different things, but he's unable to go into specifics because of NDAs and stuff like that? Like, doesn't that seem kind of weird? Like, doesn't it seem weird that, like, he would come forward, say some pretty crazy stuff that was very inciting, like, it was inciting, but then, like, I don't want to say change his tune, because I don't know if he exactly changed his tune, but, like, now he's saying, like, I can't give specifics, I'm NDA'd and all that. You know what I mean? It's a little bit weird. You wonder what happened, you know? All sorts of possibilities. I mean, Warner Brothers could have come to him. You know? Warner Brothers could have come to him. You know, maybe it's possible that they threatened legal action. His agent could have said that. Absolutely, Rich. That could have happened. He could have had concessions made to him. I mean, who knows exactly? But I thought it was pretty interesting. Mr. Mixelplix. Yeah, I like Mr. Mixelplix. It's a cool character. Will Morgan. Talked to some of the peeps that Kevin Smith talked to, too. Yeah, that's another layer. Is like Kevin Smith kind of talked about this a little bit and was like, yeah, I heard some things. You know what I mean? I heard some things. Not the best thing. I just found that really interesting. I was like, man, what does that mean, dude? What does that mean? Because as always, just a lot of confusing stuff in 2020. You know what I mean? A lot of confusing stuff. Let's get into Q&A. I just want to hang out. Let's just hang out. Let's just hang out with the Nerd Vengers. Any Doctor Strange news? Yeah, actually. There was a little something. There was a little something. Chiwetel Ejiofor doubled down on his comments about Sam Raimi. Just talking about how dope that is. There was something else that happened with Doctor Strange too. Let me see. Let me check it out for you. I just spilled coffee on my Baby Yoda shirt. No! Oh no! Ah! Ah! Damn it! Damn it! The only Doctor Strange news is it's set to still film at Long Cross Studios. That's what popped up. Let's get into some Q&A. Little Q&A. Trev coming in hot with the super chat. A little over the top. Who was over the top? MC McLovin? Wait, who's over the top? Let me know. Let me know, McLovin. All right, Trev says, we look... Oh, God, no, it's going to scroll past. We look at it as the multiverse. We have our TV universe and our film universe, but they all coexist. Jeff Johns from 2014. Yeah, that's... Dude, I mean, I'd get down with that. I mean, Johns definitely knew how to ruin everything. I mean, build properly within the DCEU. So I would definitely bring up his quotes as evidence of the clear-cut plans that Warner Brothers has had, and the fact that they've had their crap together for a long time. I would definitely bring up the guy that definitely didn't have horrible studio interference. Love you, Trev. Not the baby Yoda, said Lord Vito. I know. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. That's more sincere than your apology. Oh, man. Might be. Like, you never heard the guy who made Thor Dark World asking for his cut of the movie. Hell, Joss Whedon loves Marvel again. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see here. What's this? Josh, what's the word with our High Republic / Old Republic? You know, not too much. I don't know, man. I don't really think there's much word on it. The books and the comic slate kind of got delayed. I assume a lot of things got delayed. So, like, there's a big rumor about a High Republic video game that probably got delayed. I will say I remain very excited about the High Republic. I've heard some stuff that makes me think, like, wow, maybe they're abandoning the High Republic as far as films and stuff goes. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. No real updates, though. Where's Longcross Studios? I believe it's in the UK. I'm not 100% on that. Outside of Harley Quinn, I thought the Arrowverse Suicide Squad roster was better than the movie version. Dude, for sure. The only thing that I liked better, I like I actually like both Amanda Wallers, but the Amanda Waller in the DCEU, dude, she was hard as nails. She was hard as nails. Did you read the article about Walmart converting their parking lots into drive-ins? I didn't read it, but I remain very positive about that. I think that's awesome. You know, I think that's really cool. So, no, I didn't read too much about it. I've lost control of my fandom, menace zombies. I keep telling them we are mad at the Annie of Green Gables reboot, but no one will listen. I'm super lost on that aggressively. I'm super lost on that. Sorry. If there's some memeage in there, I'm not picking up on the memeage. Going back to a dead zone? No. Jeff Johns has no power and all the power at the same time. Yeah, I wish we knew more about the exact stuff with Jeff, because I mean, like, he's clearly always had power, right? He's one of the most respected creatives at DC, and especially when you got someone like Jim Lee, who is like a big wig, right? Jeff was always going to have an incredible amount of power. Jeff got promoted to like sort of co-president, that weird co-president thing with Diane Nelson. That was really interesting. It's hard to say like how much power did he actually have and all that. Do you think Ahsoka Tano will even need a lightsaber in The Mandalorian? Meaning she's just on another level? So, Scotty, sorry. No, she doesn't need a lightsaber, but Lucasfilm needs her to use a lightsaber. So, she will likely have a blue lightsaber, and she'll likely actually be wearing a little bit more gray, and not like the Ahsoka the White Gandalf-esque thing that we saw her in last. So... no, she doesn't need a lightsaber. I would say she's probably powerful enough to be beyond lightsabers. But we don't know for sure. We really don't. We don't know. But Lucasfilm needs her with a lightsaber to be doing some cool stuff in The Mandalorian, because they need people to really like that character. Ahsoka is one of the most beloved Star Wars characters, but still for normies, I think there's going to be a little bit of a hang-up there. So they're likely to just be doing this to sort of get the audience to be like, who's that crazy lady with the blue lightsaber? That was really cool. So, let's see here. Josh, have you seen the trailer for the new Transformers cartoon? I have, and it looks awesome. And it looks awesome. I love the Transformers, man. I'm really excited about it. Question, would you rather have all Marvel old schedule movies on Disney Plus, or rather wait and take a chance it lands in theaters without another shutdown with the scheduled release dates? That's an interesting question. I'd rather have the films myself. And if the truth is, if the theater thing isn't going to work, I think we're getting to that like crap or get off the pot kind of timeline where it's like, dude, look, just take a quick glance. It's so weird because we might be in a place where the actual production of movies is not really hampered that much, but the fact is you might not be able to get people into theaters. Like in China or in the United States, two of the biggest markets for movies ever. So, I mean, they're really getting to a point where they might have to make a decision, you know? What kind of nerd Venger are you if you don't know about any of the Green Gables? I don't know, bro. We keep speculating on movies. We need to start theorizing on how exactly we plan to watch them if it's not VOD. Whew. Man, it's a good question. I don't know. Josh says, what about the Gambit flick? I'm dying for your opinion. Okay, here's my opinion on the Gambit flick, because I watched it. It's cool. It's really beautifully shot. Like, it's really beautifully shot. I wasn't as taken by it as I think you were. I don't know how to explain it. Like, to me, it's a little cringe. Like, because it's a short movie and they're trying to like fill so much stuff, it felt very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not convoluted, like the opposite of that. What word am I looking for here? It felt very like predictable and just like corny a little bit, you know what I mean? But it was, I mean, like, I don't know who shot that thing, but it is so beautifully shot. You know, and there's a lot of stuff in there that did get me pumped, like about the potential for that character to be in live action. It was pretty cool. Pretty sweet. Do you think the DC Universe streaming service will be shut down? Absolutely. The writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. I mean, Stargirl is renewed, but not coming to that. They just sent out mass emails to people trying to get them to sign up for HBO Max. Like, yeah, DC Universe is going away for sure. Everything Always just reported that Danny DeVito will not only be playing Wolverine, but also the new Superman. Confirmed. You heard it here. Confirmed. Do you think that a conversation about the DC Universe will subtly turn into a conversation about the MCU? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Even last night, man, we were talking about that, and like it just kind of became a discussion about the MCU. And let me just introduce this idea, okay? Let me introduce this idea and see what you guys think about this. I think, and I sort of talked about this last night, so forgive me if, you know, you're hearing me repeat this. I think it's possible we might get to a world where the continuity that is created in the MCU could potentially hold them back as compared to the DC strategy. The new DC strategy really seems like think about this. This is what I was thinking about. When will we see another live action Tony Stark story? You know what I mean? Like, think about that. When will we see another Tony Stark live action story? Adam says 2069. It seems like that's going to be a good year. 25 years, says Trev. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Big old super chat coming in from James Heaton. Thank you, James. Let's let the robot voice take this one. Pause the music. Come on, robot voice. You can do it. Come on, robot voice.
Not DC related, but this has been on my mind. First, why has there not been a 90s Beast Wars live action yet? Optimus Primal Rhinox Rat Trap Cheetah. Second, I think DB's live action could be as big as the MCU.
Totally. All right, well, James, thank you for that. We're now talking about Beast Wars and Dragon Ball for the rest of the stream, and I couldn't be happier about it. Okay, so why hasn't there been a Beast Wars movie? Answer, studios are dumb. Studios are dumb. Beast Wars was incredible, dude. Beast Wars was absolutely incredible. And the Transformers themselves, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Transformers franchise. I really do think that Michael Bay, it's so whack, dude. Bay's stuff, like the first movie's good. There are redeeming qualities in the second movie. Some of it's okay. But most of it's just like goobly globbly, freaking crazy, bombastic, explosion-filled crap. For the most part. It's really crap. And that sucks because apparently like they had this awesome writers room. They brought in like all these incredible writers and they had all these plans for the future and all this really cool stuff. And then Michael Bay just turned around and didn't really do any of that stuff, right? So I think it would be dope if they went in the Beast Wars direction. Now, I think a more likely scenario than like, let's say them doing a movie or a series of films that will be Beast Wars, I think it's more likely we would get a streaming show. I mean, if you think about it, all these companies are going to want content. They all want content. They want cool stuff that builds off popular IP to get people to check out their stuff, right? And Transformers is dope, dude. Beast Wars is dope. Netflix is developing the new animated show. Maybe that'll blow up. Maybe they'll develop live action Beast Wars or something like that. But yeah, like the Beast Wars could be really great. The Transformers is one of the most popular franchises of all time. Like those movies made so much money, right? And I think that you're right in saying, James, that like there's a missed opportunity there. Cinematic universe, multiverse, all of that. They can do anything in that universe, okay? So yeah, I think you're right. And man, Beast Wars was great, dude. Beast Wars was great. I loved Beast Wars. And then in college, my friends and I had a Beast Wars renaissance. And we went back and just like binged through all Beast Wars. And dude, it holds up. We loved it. We loved it, dude. 20-year-old dudes sitting around a dorm watching Beast Wars for hours on end. Shit was great. Now, the second part of your question. Dragon Ball. Okay. Dragon Ball's tough, brother. James, Dragon Ball is tough. I'd be okay with them just expanding DBZ in animation a little bit more. By the way, let me just say this, okay? So the Vegeta power was revealed, and a couple of weeks back, there was this chapter 61, I think, of the Moro arc. By the way, I'm absolutely loving the Moro arc. I saw somebody ask about this. I'm absolutely loving the Moro arc. When Vegeta's new power was revealed, I thought it was really, really cool. I thought it was really, really cool. Renee, welcome to the Nerd Venger Prime, baby. Thanks for the love, man. But the Dragon Ball community really rejected that chapter, and I had to sort of realize that I'm a little bit of a Dragon Ball normie. You know what I mean? So, like, I was talking to, like, Geekdom 101 about this a little bit, and, like, I just kind of came to realize that, like, I just am not, like, I'm kind of a normie. Do you know what I mean? So in some ways, like, things that are cool to me, like the hardcore fans are like, nope. So, like, for instance, the whole conversation about that the Z Fighters were having about Vegeta, and then the conversation that Vegeta was having with Moro in the grand context of Dragon Ball, it's a super normie opinion to have, to be like, oh no, I totally get it. Like, this is in line with his character progression. The truth is, that shit happened a long time ago, right? And so, like, Danny, like, when, you know, Danny's done a lot of good videos breaking this down. Mastar Media did a great video breaking this down. And I just had to realize, I was like, damn, man, maybe I'm a little too Vegeta fanboy. I'm like a bad combo of, like, Vegeta fanboy and also a normie for Dragon Ball. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But here's the thing. I don't know how they could pull off Dragon Ball in live action, but I'd be okay with them just expand, like, just bring the freaking anime back, dude. They don't even have an anime right now, and it's one of the most popular franchises on the planet. Just bring a show back, do an anime. Just keep going. Like, I can't believe this. The freaking Broly movie makes like $100 million. That's like $70 million less than Birds of Prey, a Dragon Ball animated movie. How are they not making more Dragon Ball content? So, you know, James is like, DB live action could be as big as the MCU. DBZ in general, having more content could be as big as the MCU. It doesn't necessarily have to be live action. You know what I mean? But, like, come on! Funimation and Toei, what are you doing? Like, for real, what are you doing? Can we have just a little bit more Dragon Ball content? Like, I can't... I can't even, as the kids say. I can't even. But, James, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the love. Give him the love tonight. Rage meter is over 9,000. Hell yeah. DC Tuesday, yet DC questions are not brought up. We talked a lot of DC, bro. We talked a lot of DC. Yeah, that live action Dragon Ball before Dev Bane is talking about, whoo, swing and a miss. However, that was so crappy. Oh my God, Bruce Wayne's in the chat. That Dragon Ball movie was so shitty that it actually made Toriyama want to double down and give us, like, Battle of Gods. So, like, we wouldn't have the Dragon Ball Renaissance from, like, the 2015, 2016 era time without that absolutely horrible live action movie. Like, it was bad. It was bad. Question, Josh, where are you on My Hero Academia? I'm in season 4, but I'm not current. I am not current. But My Hero is great, man. My Hero is really cool. I like that show a lot. When I first, like, got into it, man, I binged the hell out of that show. I really, really like it. Josh, would you watch a Plastic Man HBO Max show? Absolutely. Absolutely, Stormbreaker. I would absolutely watch that. Dave says, I have opinions on what you think is Marvel's downfall. All right. You're missing... There's something missing there, Dave. But yeah, let me know. Gen 1 Transformers would have been the start of something great. The first 2 Transformers were awesome. But 3 to 5, nope. And the Bumblebee movie was okay. I like the Bumblebee movie. Just started the Gen 1s too late. Yeah. No, I'm with you, Cameron. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I'm going to scroll up, see if there's any DC questions, since now I feel terrible. Yeah, aggressively says, a movie showing a pure-hearted 6-year-old destroying a modern army for being mean would be the greatest movie ever. Like the Red Ribbon Army? Hell yeah. Little good-hearted Goku? I'm into it. Hell yeah. Yeah, so yesterday was Marvel Monday, and I did 2 DC videos. So I got a Marvel video planned today. Like, we're a little off base here. But I think really, like, we're talking, when we say, like, DC, it's hard, dude. You got to talk about what's the news is. You know what I mean? Who's a better cast for Joker opposite Pattinson, Johnny Knoxville or Glenn Howerton? I don't know. Johnny Knoxville Joker, that'd be interesting. You think he's got the chops? You think he's got the chops for that? I do not know. Why do you think Warner Brothers avoids Dick Grayson? That's actually an incredibly good question, aggressively. I have no idea. Dick Grayson is a very popular and important DC character. It is super weird that he has not been in like anything. Because isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, but even the guy in Titans, and I haven't watched Titans, once they totally cancel that down and they bring that over to HBO Max, I will watch Titans. I've heard it, especially in the second season and stuff, it gets much better. But isn't that Jason Todd? Right? Isn't that Jason Todd on Titans? Like, is Dick Grayson on Titans at all? It's Dick and Jason? Oh, cool. So, okay, so wait. Dick and Jason are on the show? That's sweet. They both are? Cool. Cool. That's awesome. Both are. Sweet. Jason is an asshole? Nice. That's funny. That's cool. No, I'll check that out. But yeah, it is really interesting. You know, one of my favorite dynamics in the comics is Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne. And in the animated universe, like, it's really cool because they get into like some fights and stuff like that, and like Dick handles Damian. And like the fact that Dick Grayson can beat Damian Wayne in combat is kind of absurd. Like, Dick is crazy good at fighting. Like, crazy good at fighting. Pretty crazy. Is there any news regarding the Blue Beetle live action project? Also, do you watch Cobra Kai? I've never watched Cobra Kai. I've heard many good things about it. Millen. And no, I don't think there's any news on a Blue Beetle live action project. But, I mean, hey, DC news is dropping every freaking day, it seems like. Is the Dennis system better than the Joker system? Absolutely. The Dennis system is hilarious. Sing! Trinity, are you streaming? Trinity. I saw someone in the chat yesterday say, I tune out or I turn you down every time you start singing. So I'm not going to sing anymore. Just turn your volume way up. Tricked you! Trinity, are you streaming? Trinity, are you streaming? That's right. That's what you get. That's what you get. Josh, do you think the DC will announce a bunch of projects and some release dates for them, but not follow through with them like they have done previously? Or do you think they're on track now? I mean, I really hope that that's not going to happen again. I mean, how long ago was The Rock announced this Black Adam? You know what I mean? And like, dude, of course DC, like, this is the thing. I think a lot of people are like, look, I think it's totally reasonable, even now, with all the hype stuff, to be very skeptical of Warner Brothers' ability to follow through with this and make good content. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, if you were side-eyeing a lot of these announcements and rumors and reports, I'm like, yeah, no, I totally get it. I just think, and it's all started with the Snyder Cut, I think that there's a clear change in direction at the top, and the suits have always been the problem over at Warner Brothers with the DC stuff. So if the suits can get out of the way, they can formulate some kind of a plan and follow through. As I've said many times, I don't even need for it to be as clean as the MCU. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't. Just don't handicap your greatest creators. Like, allow the freedom to flow, you know? Allow the freedom to flow. Damn, that sounds like a... You know what? If I ever run for public office, that might be my my slogan. Allow the freedom to flow, baby. You know? Kind of sounds cool. But yeah, I think that's a totally fair point and question, MTW. My hope is that, of course, yeah, they're going to actually follow through on this stuff and do this stuff. Would you rather see Starfire or Raven in a live-action DCU? Okay, so tough question here. I would say my male desire... Man, how do I say this politically in the politically correct way? How do I say this without offending Trinity and his woke sensibilities? I want to see them both for different reasons. Starfire is not that interesting of a character, but I'd love to see live action Starfire. Raven is a really interesting character, in my opinion. So both, but for different reasons. Beautiful slogan, man. Thank you, Sly. Oh, man. Apparently, Ted the Bear is hosting the Den of Nerds singing. Oh, wow. That's pretty wild. Seriously, some of us are working. My bad, bro. My bad. My bad. Oh, it's all good, Craze Panda. Welcome to the stream, man. Hope your day's going well. Question: what do you think about the new animation direction in DC animation? You know, I gotta be honest, I don't know much about it. I know they shut down that continuity. They did a new Flashpoint, so I'm assuming they're doing a new continuity with new voice actors. So this new Superman movie, I think, is the first one. And apparently they're going to adapt a version of American Alien kind of combined with whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I mean, those are two incredible but very different Superman stories. So who knows? I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like, guys, I'm trying not to, like, I don't know, like, I know we've got a lot of Marvel fans and freaking nerds are really moody and weird about stuff. I get it because I'm one of them. But, like, I'm really trying not to, like, get on Marvel too hard right now, you know, because I know we've got a lot of Marvel fans. I know Marvel has a great track record. I know it's going to be fine. But I'm just telling you, like, right now, I'm on such a DC kick. It is crazy. Like, I'm watching DC movies. I'm reading DC comics. I'm making freaking DC videos. I'm excited. I'm excited. Marvel's not exciting me right now. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, not trying to be divisive or whatever, but I'm really excited, man. So, Mike, you know, you're asking about the new direction. How do I feel about it? I'm fucking pumped, dude. I'm pumped, dude. Josh, will there be live-action Cal Kestis in Star Wars? Will, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. I really like that. And I think that, like, there would be... Whoa. What if Cal Kestis and Ezra Bridger and Ahsoka, like, raised a new generation of Jedi? Like, this is what I would do. I would make Rey have twins. Rey's twins are definitely a big part of what, you know, is going on. I'd make Kestis and Ezra Bridger be Jedi Masters of the New Order. I'd have Jason Sandula probably be a Padawan for one of them. And then I like Sabine and Ezra together, and it would be cool if they had a child that was like the next Mandalorian Jedi, you know? And if their child was really Force sensitive, that child could be a potential new student. Maybe Broom Boy, you know? So yeah, Cal Kestis, dude, awesome character. Love that character. It would be really cool for that. Thanks for getting back to me with your opinion. I agree the acting is a bit cringe, but it was good to get anything Gambit. Totally agree, dude. And that dude really did a good job as Gambit. It's just that it's really condensed. I felt like if that 20 minutes had been stretched out to like 30 minutes, it would have felt a little bit more natural, because it's really rapid fire at parts. And then like he gets like to the game, and then their exposition about how this dude knows him and all this stuff, it just really is crammed, you know? For every Nerd Vengers subscription, Josh sings the Classics album. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Josh, do you think this live-action DC Multiverse can be too convoluted for fans to follow if they follow through with this idea instead of... sorry, I'm trying to answer Tony. Tony, I lost your question. Sorry. Shit. Oh, okay, here we go. Follow through with this idea instead of following a stringent formula like the MCU does. So we sort of talked about this a little bit last night, Tony, but I don't think it'll be too convoluted. I personally don't think so. And I think audiences are way smarter than studios give them credit for. You know what I honestly think? Maybe I've never said it this way, but maybe this is the way I think of it. I think your average moviegoer is actually smarter than your average studio executive. Maybe I've never quite said it that way, but I think your average moviegoer is actually smarter than your average movie executive. And I would say your average nerd is like twice as smart as your average movie executive. Now we're talking in averages here, but like studio, like to me, it is so stupid to think that people would watch a Suicide Squad on the CW universe and then watch a movie and then like, what do they think? People are going to have like a freaking existential crisis? They think people's brains are going to meld out? They think people are going to walk out of the theater and demand their money back? You think people are going to boycott the CW shows? Like, I'm sorry, like what is the logic? Where's the logic there? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Do you think that Ben Affleck will return as Batman to the DCEU? I do, Artie. I do. But here's the thing. I do think that it'll probably live on HBO Max. I think that Ben will come back. He'll do some stuff with Zack. And then, look, the Snyder Cut's going to be a huge success. They're going to let Zack tell that whole story. It'll be like season 2, because I really do think they'll do it in the episodes, and then like they'll allow Zack to do it again. I mean, think about it. He's doing a show for Netflix right now. Zack has always been a really long form storyteller, much to like Tara's chagrin. Like Tara hates Zack's stuff, I think, because it is very slow burn and sort of epic in a lot of ways, right? But I think that is really well suited to streaming. So I think Zack is going to continue to tell his story with Ben over on HBO Max. But I do think that Keaton's Batman will be the DCEU Batman in live action. I also think that Robert Pattinson is going to be a live action Batman for years and years to come. That's what I think. I personally think Whedon messed up Justice League on purpose. Ah, man. I don't know. Oh, Anthony says that he's talking about the normies. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, man. I get what you're saying. I'm so confused, not gonna lie. How is that confusing? You know what I mean? Like... Yeah, Joss did what the studio wanted. The studio really... I mean, Kevin Suchihara... There's the other part of this that's really whack, right? So, like, it's probably true. Like, some of the things that happened, like, for instance, there was a story that came out that Ray Fisher had essentially, while taking direction, said, okay, well, I'm going to say it like this while talking about a line. And apparently, and this isn't confirmed, but apparently Joss Whedon made the entire cast and crew stop what they were doing and come over. And he basically embarrassed Ray Fisher and said, this is not how we're going to do this. You are going to read the lines. You are not ad-libbing. We are on a tight schedule. Now, on the one hand, like, wow, dude, dick move. Dick move, Whedon. But on the other hand, you think about it and you're like, okay, so Kevin Tsuchihara said this movie will come out at this same release date. It will be under 2 hours. You have this amount of time to do these reshoots. You have this amount of money to do these reshoots. Bada boom, bada bing, right? So really, Kevin Tsuchihara is the one that was being like abusive and creating a crunch for Whedon. Whedon, in order to fulfill his deliverables on his contract, had to be a total dick face to the cast and crew. So when you really start to think about this, like who's really at fault, it's kind of an interesting. Can we start calling Josh a DC shill yet? Hey, man, I'll take them shill checks. I'll take them shill checks. Breaking news, Jim Carrey, Uma Thurman, and Arnold Schwarzenegger are all coming back in Flashpoint. That would be awesome. They're all going to break out of Arkham. Awesome. Source, Mikey Sutton. Source, Mikey Sutton. Source Mikey Sutton. I guess we'll go like 15 more minutes. I'm having fun. Go like 15 more minutes, folks. Get your questions in. Also, I absolutely think Knoxville could play Joker. One, taking punches and laughing it off. That's true. Bringing the voice naturally. That's true. His laugh's pretty good. Experience in the prosthetics makeup. Okay. Hey, man. Danny, I'm digging it, dude. I'm digging it. I'm into that. Star Wars theory. Ezra plus Cal plus Ahsoka lead the New Jedi Order against Emperor Thrawn, who returned from wild space to help the Chiss Ascendancy in order to take over the remnants of the Empire. Whoa, dude. That's cool. That's really cool. Was that Chet that I just heard say bruh? Kinda. Have I watched Doom Patrol? I have. And I like it, but it's super weird. Like, that's a wacky show, dude. Like, that is a wacky show. Are we doing the PlayStation 4 drawing today? Snyder is a stoner legend. He somehow convinced people to let him work on the same movie for a decade. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But hasn't George Lucas been working on the same movies for like 30 years? So basically, nothing bad about the DCEU has nothing to do with people like Zack Snyder. Wait, let me see this. Sorry. Because that's what the DC fandom sound like they are saying, which is bullshit. Okay, let me try to break this down. So you're saying, so basically, nothing bad about the DCEU has, I think you mean anything to do with people like not liking Zack Snyder, because that's what the DC fandom sounds like, which is saying is bullshit. Okay, so let's talk about this CGM show, because I've seen you pretty active in the comments, pouring on the haterade on DC. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're not a big fan of Zack Snyder. Would that be accurate, CGM? Would that be accurate? You're not a big fan of Zack, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? I think it's totally fair to say that Zack and his style was not universally accepted by DC fans. I think it's fair to say that, okay, so you loved Watchmen and 300, but otherwise no. It's all good, baby. Hey, it's all good, baby, baby. Okay, so let's break this down. When you say that, so you're kind of saying like, so nothing bad about the DCU has to do with people not liking Zack Snyder. So people not liking Zack Snyder was an issue. It was an issue. I think it's fair to point out that Man of Steel made more money than any Phase 1 Marvel movie other than Avengers. So it's a divisive movie, but it made a lot of money. Now, from there, the question becomes, how many of the problems that DC faced were directly related to Zack Snyder? Now, look, I have covered this almost ad nauseum. Okay? So, essentially, as all of this stuff is going down, what the context here is important. We are coming out of the Nolan era, and the Nolan era and the David Goyer type vibe was a big thing. People liked it, fans liked it, executives liked it. And so Man of Steel was created. By the way, Man of Steel was a rushed production because of a lawsuit that DC had with Spiegel and Schuster. The people that created the two Jewish kids from Cleveland that created Superman, their families and their estate over time have gained a lot back from DC. Okay? One of the things that happened was that if DC did not create another Superman movie within a certain time frame, and they were like really butting up against it, that they were going to have to pay money for basically like what you could call like losses or potential losses or damages to Spiegel and Schuster. So they sort of had to rush out Man of Steel. Okay? Now, after Man of Steel comes out, and again, is an incredibly successful movie for Warner Brothers, they wanted to do a sequel to Man of Steel. Now, this has been documented. Zack wanted to do a Man of Steel sequel. Henry Cavill wanted to do a Man of Steel sequel. There was a Man of Steel sequel written. And I forget who the scriptwriter was, but this was a big piece of news that came out that's like very much lost in the shuffle. It was Warner Brothers that said, hey, Zack, what if we sprinkle a little bit of Batman in there? Hey, Zack, you like a little bit of Batman, don't you? Hey, Zack, why don't you sprinkle a little Batman in there? Then before you know it, the studio has decided that the next movie will be called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice? And the studio decides that they want to catch up to Marvel. Okay? That's not Zack's decision. So, like, the very idea of doing Batman v Superman was weird and in a lot of ways dictated to Zack by the studio. I actually don't think that when Zack created Man of Steel, he thought he was creating a new cinematic universe. I think he was just making a Zack Snyder Superman movie. And then the studio retroactively decided, this is the beginning of our shared universe. Super weird idea. So the studio makes Zack make Batman v Superman. That's documented. Now, is Batman v Superman a good movie? No. Is the Ultimate Edition a much better movie? Yes. Is it still a big mess? Yes. Then there was a 2-week period in time where after Batman v Superman, they were about to start production on Justice League. And the studio had a decision to make. Batman v Superman getting a lot of bad press. Batman v Superman underperforming. So the studio has to decide, what do we do? Do we keep with this plan with Zack, this 5-film arc that he had created? Do we stick with that plan or do we scrap it? What the studio decided to do was try to have their cake and eat it too. The studio that continues to say we're a filmmaker-driven studio allowed Zack to still make Justice League, but came in and started interfering hard. So that's the story. So does Zack have something to do with that? Yeah, for sure. For sure. But my thing has always been, the studio and the suits are actually way more at fault. So like let's take it to a Star Wars place, right? So a big hang up for Star Wars fans is The Last Jedi, right? So The Last Jedi to this day, very controversial film. A lot of people hate it. You know, a lot of people really like it and defend it. But that is the film that kind of broke Star Wars in a lot of ways, okay? So who do you blame in that situation? A lot of people would blame Rian Johnson. Well, I actually don't blame Rian as much as other people do because he was hired to make a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie. He did exactly what he was hired to do. And it's the same thing with Zack. Zack was hired to make Zack Snyder movies. So who's really at fault? The creative that's doing the job he was hired to do? Or the person who hired him? Think about it. Think about it. Rian Johnson is a douche. I think he probably is, yeah. I agree. Do you think we will see Green Lantern in the end of the Snyder Cut? No, your English is fine, man. That totally makes sense. Yeah, I think we will see Green Lantern. I think we will. I think you mean, Mike, you mean both are culpable. Can you explain what you mean with that? Like, how are both of them culpable? Can you explain that for me? Click that like button! Ooh, All-Star Superman is such a good book. And a great movie, too. That animated movie is fantastic. Adam from Fanjexter says, you're a big mess. Adam, you're a toxic man baby. Don't you bring that shit into my chat. He is still responsible for bad decisions. I mean, yeah. He's responsible for bad decisions. But he was hired to make a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie. He's Rian Johnson. He's hired because of his brand, because of being Rian Johnson, right? And so he makes a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie. And he wasn't reined in at all. That's all on Kathy. That's all on Disney. In my opinion. Later, check out the backing track I just dropped on the Discord. Oh, let me check it out. Check it out right now. I can't hear it at all, dude. Maybe this is just playing too loud. Pause this. I can hear it a little bit. It's pretty low, but yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. I'm into it. I'm into that. Will the New Gods movie, directed by Ava DuVernay, take place in the DCEU universe? I do believe it will, yes. Did you see how much money Patty Mahomes got? $500 million? Absolutely. But he's an explosive athlete, dude. I think he absolutely deserves that. I love watching Patrick Mahomes play ball. Love it. Good morning, Josh. Since Michael Keaton is contracted to be in multiple DC projects, do you think that includes an episode or two of The Flash? Whoa. I would love that, dude. I would absolutely love that. Would you have a negative or positive reaction if you found out the Justice League movie down the road is Justice League? Pardon me. Justice League of America. I'd have a positive reaction about that. I don't see why I would have a negative one to that. My big issue is Zack Snyder, with Zack Snyder, is how boring his Batmobile was. I kept wanting for it to do something clever, but instead he fired multiple rounds, shred carts into buildings in an effort to rob a guy. Yeah, that's fair. Do you think we will get a Justice League 2? I do. Well, I think Zack's story will continue on HBO Max. That's what I think. That's what I think. Professional athlete during a pandemic is a sweeter job than being Garth Brooks drummer. Oh my God. What's happening with Ezra Miller? Dude, that is such a mystery. What is happening with Ezra Miller? Here's what I think. I think Warner Brothers is gonna sweep that right under the rug. Sweep. Louder version just dropped. All right, everybody. Yeah. Trinity, are you? Trinity, are you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going all the way to the top, man. The Den of Nerds album is coming. Trinity, are you? Just give us the Grammy right now. You know what I mean, Adam? I'll take the Grammy. Trinity. Boys to Men style. Nice, dude. Mike says, Snyder's choice of Superman killing and Batman using a gun, two things that go really over the line for me. I agree, Mike. I agree. I don't like Superman killing. I really don't like Batman using guns. And I don't think Zack gives a shit about that, to be honest with you. I think that his opinions on that are totally different. And that's okay. I still love the Snyderverse stuff. I really do. I'm a fan of Zack, and I like his work. But yeah, like, I always kind of treated it as an Elseworld, which is cool because now it kind of is an Elseworld. But yeah, Batman using guns, like, just talk to Adam about that. You know what I mean? Like, Adam likes that. And then Superman killing, yeah, no freaking way. And not only that, he kills, like, the last member of his species. Like, what? That's crazy. Guest produce it? Not right. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mike. Those things I'm not a fan of. I am not a fan of. I think, you know, Zack's explanation for this, and I don't know if, like, I don't know if you'll buy this. I don't know if many fans would like this, but, like, Zack's explanation was sort of, this is how those characters get to that place. In the past, Batman had been a little bit more reserved, but he was just like in rage mode. You know what I mean? He like snapped. That's essentially the point there. And Superman, I think what they were trying to do is have him do that, and then that's why he doesn't kill after that. It's because of that moment. You know what I mean? Batman doesn't have enough guns. I know you're talking about Battinson. He definitely doesn't have the guns, if you know what I'm saying. Whoop, whoop. Dexter Batman sounds awesome. Yeah. Oh, Tony, I answered your question already, brother. I would react positively to that. Yeah. Justice League of America, I'm totally good. I'm totally good for that. Totally good for that. Apocalypse Wars takes it that far without doing those two things. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I agree. But see, now it's like, let me just ask you this, Mike. Like, if the Snyderverse is a part of the multiverse where it's a little bit more postmodern, those ideals are not established there, Isn't that okay? You know what I mean? A deconstructed Batman with BB guns. Oh, yeah. Apocalypse War, says Ryan. Hell yeah, dude. Snyder just doesn't respect Batman lore. He has a vision of Batman, and it's just not accurate. I can't respect someone with a vision if it's wrong AF. Totally fair, Danny. Totally fair. I would never... I mean, you know, a lot of this stuff is subjective, right? So I'd never, like, come at you for that or be like, nah, man, you're wrong. As someone who absolutely loves the Batman mythos, yeah, I mean, the Zack stuff, especially, like, the thing is, like, I like the extended cut of Batman v Superman, but, like, dude, Batman is killing so many people. Holy God. He's killing so many people. It's crazy. Great question, Javi. How long do you think it could be until we see the Batman who laughs on the big screen? Probably a long time. I think that's a little too wild for audiences. Snyder seems like he hates normal version of these characters and only wants Dark Knight Returns or Injustice Superman. Yeah, I mean, but like if you look at Zack's like stuff, like, and this will be the last question, guys, I'm gonna get going here. If you look at Zack's stuff, right, it's super obvious that like that's his vibe. You know, you look at all of his. You're talking about the guy that made 300, right? So like that's Zack's vibe, dude. He's like that metal kind of hardcore, abrasive. Like he made Zack Snyder Superman. And by the way, this is the thing that really kind of bugs me out. There's no way that Warner Brothers didn't know what he was doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no universe in which they hire Zack Snyder, the guy that made the Watchmen movie, which is so accurate to the comics. I know they changed the ending and they changed some things, but overall, guys, that is a beautiful adaptation of one of the greatest comic book stories of all time. Zack adapts it literally page for page in a lot of ways, right? So the idea that that guy isn't capable of making a comic book accurate depiction of Superman is crazy. The truth is, he didn't want to do that. And DC was okay with him not doing that. So, like, you know, like this is sort of a weird area to be in. The truth is, this is why the multiverse thing is going to solve all these problems, because it's like, look, if you like that, it's over on HBO Max. Check it out. You don't like that? It's all good. Check out the CW stuff. You don't like that? It's all good. Michael Keaton Batman's back. You know what I mean? All right, everybody, we're going to call it there. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the support, all the Nerd Vengers. You guys are amazing. If you haven't checked it out, consider joining the members. It definitely helps us out. It's going to help us be able to do cool content, do all kinds of cool stuff with the channel, and also you're going to get some behind-the-scenes goodies. Nerd Vengers members, this Saturday at noon, we're going over the official emojis and talking about some behind-the-scenes stuff as well, okay? So we're getting out of here today. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video. I wonder if this will cut off early. I get accused a lot of having the things cut off early. Maybe I'll just leave it on. Maybe that's the way I do it.